Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Fix It, Coronavirus edition, because I unfortunately cannot film on set at my grandfather's house. I now have to do it at home. So the next few videos will have this set up. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to get started on this, which is the display assembly from my Dell Inspiron 6400 laptop. One of the hinges gave up, as you can probably tell back here. This one's broken. I'm going to re-glue this one. This one is completely destroyed hinge-wise, so that one's completely useless. This is the only one that actually has some denseness to it, so that I couldn't keep the computer together in fear I destroyed plastic, so I had to take it apart. But our sponsors today are Gorilla Epoxy. They make some good epoxy for the first job I did with this hinge. They did that. Now, there is probably some glue left on this thing, so I'm going to have to be careful. But firstly, before we muck around with the LCD and all that, this is what's left of the screen bezel. And I did vow at one point I was going to get a new display bezel. But it costs time and money, and neither of those things I currently have. So let me just get my pliers. Which are kept over here for safety reasons. And yes, I'm sitting on a couple of plastic boxes because I don't have a chair. So what we've got to do is we're going to put basically a weight on both sides. No, that's not good. We need like a heavy weight that I can place on both sides, because I don't have anything particularly heavy in this room. I could sacrifice my Xbox controller. Or I could just hold them both together. I mean, that would probably be the best option here. Okay, so let's start by taking the cap off of the epoxy. If you'll excuse me for a second. Okay, now I've got the cap removed. The instructions say to dispense an even amount of hardener and resin into a clean disposable container. I think that should do. And I'm going to mix them both together. Okay, let's get that out of the way. It says to mix them for a good 20 seconds until mixture is uniform. Now, I'm just going to sit here and mix them both together for like 20 seconds. I don't know how long it is. I mean, I could tell Google to set a timer for 20 minutes, but 20 minutes? 20 seconds. But the last time I did that, it went very wrong, as you can tell in the bloopers video I made for this episode series. Oh god, it reeks! Oh, it smells like rotten fish. If you're watching on Smell-O-Vision, you'll know exactly what this smells like. Oh, this is disgusting. But it's what I have to do. Okay, that's way past 20 seconds now. Now, just gotta, get some on the end of this stick here. Yeah, just like that. And, block it on here. Spread it around. Now, as this is plastic, this should be a damn sight easier to, well, fix together permanently. Now, I don't know how long I have to hold this together for. Oh. I did have the instructions handy, but I tore them up to get the thing out. Oops. I think it's... This is a really stupid idea, because now I don't know how long it's going to take for it to set. See, no, I can't let go of it. Okay. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm holding the two pieces of plastic together. I'm not going to make this video full of nonsense of me just holding something together. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with some cheerful music and a very, very playful looking cat. Okay, 30 long minutes have passed and this is well and truly adhered in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hinge, making sure that it's got the large notch facing towards the hinge and the small one facing upwards. I didn't do this last time. Always make sure that that is the case. Then you want to find the screws for the hinge, which I have found. And make sure that these are the right ones. And then you just want to screw your hinge in place as if, well, it wasn't glued, as if it was welded from the factory. So basically install it how you need. Now, I think I forgot, I was recording last time, so there was a lot of footage. Well, a lot of garbage footage that I didn't need, so I'll have to sort through that in the editing process. But I've just got to carefully insert the LCD, because this was the fragile bit. The hinge was the bit that, hey, whoop-de-doo, let's have fun. The LCD, I spent ages trying to repair that inverter. And, oh god, this is still sticky, I can't wait until that's hardened. But yes, this is my new workbench, so the next few episodes of LFI will be recorded on that setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our other screw here. This is the one that I believe goes in the side, so you just want to, screw the side in. Test it works and doesn't peel away, which it doesn't. That's nice. And basically you want to install the screws on either side of the panel. Obviously hold the panel into the chassis here. And you can see that there's quite a lot of screws to deal with. I believe there's like 5 or 4 on each side. So you just want to be careful with this as you do that. You just want to insert the screws into each hole slowly but surely. And do not overdo it, because if you go too hard and your screws are too long, you will drill into the LCD layers and you'll either, well, A, cause backlight issues, that's best case scenario, and worst case scenario, you will crack the glass and destroy the panel. And granted, nothing is worse than buying a whole new LCD screen. Because I know these 17-inch panels, which I believe that what came with the Inspiron 6400 when it was new. Yeah, those can fetch a pretty penny, so be careful. And I have inserted this panel working correctly. So I'm going to loosen the screws up a little bit, and basically manoeuvre it so this hole is visible. Obviously you can't see any of it. Now you can. So then, just be very, very careful. Losing screws is a computer engineer's worst nightmare. Losing screws is one of the worst things you can ever do. Again, don't over tighten. Screw it in as far as necessary. And then you want to repeat it on the other side. You just want to flip it the other way. Be careful with this cable, it's quite fragile because this one's under the most stress, under the most tension. You do not want to rip, and of course most magnetic screwdrivers will pick up all the screws if they're small, so be careful with that. Or use it to your advantage. Ah, I have just noticed that each hole is actually labelled. That's nifty. So screw 1, we're going to get screw 2. These are, I don't know what exact specifications of screws these are, but these are replacement screws from a replacement screw kit manufactured by, I forgot the brand. I think I mentioned it in a previous video. But yeah, screw brand, very, very good. Recommend product on Amazon. Yeah, there's 4 screws on each side, so 8 holding the display in place, and 2 holding the hinge in place. And the 3rd screw hole, which I accidentally filled with epoxy, is mostly just for the bezel screws. And I'd drill, basically screw a hole, a driver through that hole as well. If you want the bezel screws to go back in, because I don't technically care, because this computer's a load of trash, don't bother. So what we've done is we've put the panel back in, and what I'm going to do is I'm now going to put the computer back together. So let's re-angle the panel here. Bring in the bottom half of the computer. And what we've got to do is we've got to actually take the this plastic sheet off. Another good point to make is remove the battery. This computer does have a tendency to start up, and as the hard drive and everything is present, there's nothing stopping it from booting into the Windows desktop headless. So you will not be able to basically shut the computer down unless you press and hold the power button, which isn't very healthy on the hard drive. So then, yeah, just place your hinges in there, and actually I wouldn't layer them down just yet. These are the bezel screws, well, the 2 bezel screws. Mark your screws. Organise them into pots if you have to. The long ones, I believe, go deep into the plastic. Avoid long screw damage, people. Lewis Rossman knows all too well with long screw damage. Highly recommend watching him, by the way. Get off. Oh, this is really doing my back in. And then I can layer this display back like that, gently. And the next step is what we're going to do is we're going to actually route the display video cable in. Another good point is to take the keyboard out. It gives you more access to the well, it gives you access to the video, the Wi-Fi card, and, well, it allows you to put the video cable in easier. Now this is a very difficult thing to do, so do be careful, whatever you do. You don't want to kink or bend the keyboard to the point where the membrane doesn't make contact with the carbon pads anymore, and basically your keyboard's trash. Oh man, that's turn my back in. Okay, quick stretch. And back at it again. So, granted I'd be doing this, well, at a desk where I don't have to bend over. Unfortunately I have to in this case. Now, if your keyboard doesn't come out, get a little bit of persuasion with a flathead screwdriver. Like that. And then just shift it out from the other side. Pull it out, peel it back gently, and layer it back like that. And then you got to flip up the door, take the keyboard out. Careful you haven't ripped the ribbon cable, which we haven't. And here we are, CR2032 button cell. Always good to know the locations of those. You plug that directly into the ATI Radeon video card. I can't remember what exact video card that is, so don't ask. This is a very messy repair, because you have to take a lot of bits out. But in terms of the computer, this is very modular. Every single component in this computer is very modular. You don't have to worry too much about, you know, dislodging connectors and stuff accidentally, because this is very easy to do. Esd warning, do discharge yourself before working on computers. I've done that prior to working on this, at least I think I have. Oh well, it's my computer, not yours, so you do not have to worry. Just do it before doing on your own stuff. Okay, so I've connected the antenna cables. Remember, connect, if they're labelled, connect the white to white and the black to black, or in this case, if they're unlabelled, connect white to main and black to aux. But most Wi-Fi cards, especially Intel ones, do have the white and black things labelled. So that's a good point to make. Once you've done that, get the ribbon cable to the keyboard, settle it into the socket, make sure it's nice and seated, then you flip the locking tab down, and then manoeuvre your keyboard back in place, press it down, and then screw it back in place. And if you've lost the screws, again I can't help you because I don't know the definite dimensions of these screws. I used to, I don't anymore. But like you said, if you're missing screws, you don't really need them, do you? Plastic housing will hold them in place. Said housing has gone missing. Silly me, it's behind the screen. So, 2 tabs on here, layer it in on this side. Now, as I've taken the battery out, you can press the power buttons and stuff all you want as you're layering this back into place. Nothing will happen, but if you do have a battery and do not press the power button whatsoever, avoid pressing it at all costs. Oh, actually no, I've done that wrong. I forgot to put the bezel on. The bezel actually has to go on beforehand. Okay, so I'll be right back once I have retrieved the bezel. Okay, we're back. I've got the LCD bezel. What you do is you just layer it over the screen and just press all the little tabs down. Route through your cables, do everything you've got to do. I will be mostly just winging it in this case because I've done this thousands of times before. When a computer is annoying as this, I'm kind of relieved to put the bezel on for like the last time. It's not going on properly. Okay, let me just deal with that. That's better. Yeah, there we go, that's what I want. That's what I want. Okay, layer that back there. Again, follow the steps I did in the previous clip. And yeah, you would have screwed them, put them in place, flip the computer over, and what you want to do in this case is 2 long screws on either side of the computer. These are the far back left and right screws. They should all be the same length. The shorter ones go inside the computer, the longer ones don't. Same with these ones. These do come with little plastic sticky covers, but those I've lost and they're not important. They're only important if you want the computer to look sexy, and I don't want my computer to look attractive at all, because it is not. Oh no, sorry, that was the pre-broken one. I was going to say that's not good. Yes, that plastic has fatigued, so that hole doesn't really do anything. This one does, so I want to be careful. There we go. And as a final finish, you put your battery back in if you took it out. And as the wise words of Hugh Jeffreys, and we're done. So that is how you repair the hinge assembly on a Dell Inspiron 6400 or similar computer with the model number PP015, or is it 05? PP015L model number, so that I think that there's a Latitude model with the same design as well. But yep, this is now fully intact. I'm not going to obviously test the electrical stuff off camera because I've already meddled around with that, and that's all working fine. So thank you all for watching. This is episode 5, I believe, 5 or 6 of Let's Fix It, and I'll be coming back at you very, very soon from home. Thanks for watching.